Hello, everybody. This is Ramblings episode 3. One more than two, one less than four. This is take three on this episode because this topic is pretty complex, or it can get complex. The topic is independent thought. What does it mean to have an independent thought? What does it mean to be an independent thinker? It's a pretty troubling thing once you get to the nitty gritty of it, of like how many people are not independent thinkers. It's pretty tough, but to realize that is to see like why that's the case. So first things first, you're born, right? Your parents teach you things. Your childhood friends teach you things. Your friends later on teach you things. Your teachers in high school or elementary, middle school, high school teach you things. College professors teach you things. It's like everything you learn, 99% of the things you learn will come from a non-primary source, right? We can't talk to dinosaurs. We can't talk to Jesus. We can't talk to a lot of things, primary sources. What I'm trying to say is like whenever you get to tertiary and further, in terms of sources, you get opinionated stuff. So right off the bat, you're like, well, it's not that opinionated. Like high school is not that opinionated. Surely my school system is pretty objective stuff. That's wrong. Uh, the reason that's the case is like, who's to say what is right to learn and not to learn? So, for example, history. We in high school you take what, American history, U.S. history. Okay, well, there's hundreds and hundreds of years of U.S. history. Um, what's to say what is important and what's not important? Obviously, they have methods to choose what is important and what's not important. But what about on a world scale? There's thousands of years of history. What you deem important, I might not deem important. What they deem important, they may not deem important. It's all based on perspective. So automatically, if you're gonna fit world history into a textbook, you're gonna get extremely biased options. For example, when I was in world history, my sophomore year, I think it was AP. It doesn't matter. I didn't learn almost anything about Stalin. I learned almost strictly about Hitler. I didn't learn anything about, was it Mao Zedong, General Mao, whatever the hell his name is. Uh, but yeah, Stalin's a pretty big one. I learned very little about him, and it wasn't until after I got out of high school that I'm just like, I started reading about it. I'm just like, sheesh. He had I think it was a general, Genrik Yagoda. I think that's his name, Genrik Yagoda. You can look him up. Genrik with an H at the end. Genrik. Genrikh. Genrik. And then Yagoda. It's like whatever. Yoga and Yoda combined. It's weird. Um, yeah, he was a Jewish general, I think, under Stalin, and I think he alone's responsible for 10 million deaths or around there, 6 to 10 million deaths. And if that's the case, that means Genrik Yagoda uh, is a Jewish general who is responsible for more deaths than all of Hitler. So that's a pretty shocking thing to never learn about in college or in high school and in college. But that's an extremely shocking thing to never learn about. So pretty weird. So right off the bat, okay, high school is bias. We know your parents are biased. Everyone has a bias. All right, your friends, depending on the age, they're just reflecting whatever their parents taught them or whatever they learned in school. All right. So at the end of the day, it's just like everything you've learned up to this point is not your own thought. None of it is an independent thought from your own, most likely. Obviously, you probably have a few independent thoughts, but for the large concepts and large ideas in the world, you have almost zero independent thoughts. And once people come to the conclusion of that, it's pretty frightening what they do. What is in that head of theirs? Like, what do you have? We have a lot of non-independent thoughts. You have a lot of, it's like the meshing of other people's ideas in your head, that you just claim to be your own. And the way that you realize that is first you see the films in front of you. So you have the film of your parents, you have the film of your friends, then you have the film of your teachers, professors. There's all these films and filters and things in front of you that are obscuring your vision. So independent thought would be perfect 2020 vision, nothing in front of my eyes. I'm seeing the world as it is. But because I have the people in my head and the people that have taught me, I'm not crazy. I mean, the films and everything. Um, I'm not seeing the world as it is. I'm seeing the world how they want me to perceive it. So my view of reality is very what is it? obscured, you could say, warped. Um, so it's like now you have to realize you have these filters in front of you, and you have to destroy them or you get rid of them. And the way you do that is you just play devil's advocate with yourself almost all day, every day for a very long time or for a while. That's just fighting and arguing and destroying your ideas that you have. So it's like, why do I think uh why do I think the death penalty shouldn't exist? Or why do I think the death penalty should exist? Okay. You have premise 1, premise 2, premise 3. You have all these arguments attached to it, right? It's like, well, why do I think this argument? Why do I think like an eye for an eye? Well, I got that from my parents. Okay, that argument's now dropped. So now you have these other 3 supporting roots. Okay, some people just don't deserve to live. Okay, where'd you get that? I got that from my friends. Okay, that argument's dropped. Okay, now you have these other 2 supporting things. Where'd you get this one? College. Where'd you get this one? High school. Okay, well now you just have the shell that has nothing inside of it. So now you have to drop the entire thing and rebuild it. Do you actually think that? Do you actually think the death penalty should exist or shouldn't exist? Whatever. Um, it's like you have to rebuild everything with your own independent thought. Now that's not to say that you cannot use other thoughts, like other people's opinions and facts to your own, to support your claim. But it has to be your claim and your idea. It has to be your conclusion with supporting facts and claims of others. All right. Like you have to be able to basically, you know how people say put in your own words? It has to be in your own words. All right. When it comes to research, everyone knows like we stand on the shoulders of giants, on the shoulders of giants. So you can't have a fully, I guess, primary independent thought on most things. But you can definitely word it in the way that you understand it and you can argue it. So yeah. So that's how you would destroy a film, is to first recognize it, find ideas that have been obscured or changed because of it, and then tear down and rebuild those ideas. People get a taste of this during their rebellious age in high school. So when they're about like what 17, 18, maybe 16, I don't know, in high school, they have a rebellious age where they just throw everything out the window. They're just like, I hate this about the family. I hate this. I hate my parents. I hate some of my friends. I hate my siblings. You know, they throw everything with that one film out the window. And that's sort of what you have to do with everything, honestly. That's sort of you have to have that mindset, honestly, with everything. You have to throw everything out the window, start from scratch. Not with anger, because that's what teenagers do. They use anger to throw everything out the window to destroy that film temporarily. You have to, it has to be critical thinking, methodical. Like, okay, first it's this idea, draw it all out, slash, slash, slash. What do I actually think? Is this something I can support, not support? Write out your reasoning. Don't like the reasoning, cross it out. It's devil's advocacy against everything, basically. So what does it mean to have an independent thought? So independent thinkers is what we just talked about. Independent thought, that's more like what I just said. It's your claim, okay? Now, it might be backed by other people's claims. So, for example, a thought that I have is we should have very strict legal immigration, all right? And illegal immigration should be curbed like big time. So why do I think that? Well, first, we are not a nation without borders, okay? I think that's an idea because if all borders were suddenly fall and everyone could flood into everyone else's country as they please with their own society or own culture, own ideas, countries would fall overnight very quickly. So I think that, and then a supporting claim would be a Democratic president in the past, was it half century? It was Bill Clinton saying we are a nation of laws and we're a nation of borders. I think something along those lines. So that's a good supporting claim in my opinion because Bill Clinton's a Democratic president, and current Democratic nominees are very much against what Bill Clinton would have said back then. So, to have a Democratic president support the same claim that I'm making is a pretty good thing to have, to support a claim. So that's one example, like one small example. yeah, very minute example. That's just like a like it's the main idea, and then the Bill Clinton thing is a very very small root that's supporting it. Obviously, I have many other roots, but we're not going to get into that. Um, so yeah, so to have an independent thought is to have something that you yourself see and you yourself would support fully. So if I have an idea and someone else has an idea, but my idea is an original thought, I'm willing to go back and forth with somebody, um, defending my thought or defending my idea. Yeah. One more thing I want to talk about is an idea versus a fact. So an idea is something you can get behind. You can't really get behind facts. So a fact is like a cold thing. It's like a dead thing. It's just there. Like there's the Ben Shapiro sayings that say facts don't care about your feelings. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's also like a fact is a cold thing. It has no side. Fact is just there. All right. Statistics. There are statistical facts. But statistics can be warped in whatever way possible. You could have a million statistics that prove one thing, a million statistics that help prove the other, or facts that help prove the other. But it's the ideas that are backed by the fact that matter, because an idea is something that lives through somebody. It's an ideology, or it's a part of an ideology. Okay, so it's like people will live and die for ideologies and ideas. Okay. Like ideas create entire movements for society. They help push society further. They help push entire industries further. A single idea can help do a million things. A single fact can just be attributed to an idea, but a single idea can cause mass effect across the entire world. It just takes one idea. So to have an independent thought is just to be having your own, not like world altering thing, but it's not a fact to have. So people always say look at the facts, but it's like facts can be swayed in many ways because they're just, think of them as rocks. They're just there. They just don't move. They don't go. They don't. Facts don't get swayed. Ideas can be swayed. Ideas can be moved. Ideas like an idea is like a living thing that can evolve over time and change. So it's like an independent thought is to have an independent idea, or is to have an idea that is always evolving. So it's a very unique thing, and I think I need to think more about ideas versus fact, and just how sophisticated an idea is. But I think I talked enough about independent thought. I really wanted to have this conversation about thought, or independent thought and independent thinkers, because a lot of people would say they're independent thinkers when they're really not. It's like, you're probably not an independent thinker. It's not like an insult to anybody. It's just like, I see people much older than me, 2, 3 times my age, that are still in this intellectual pit. They're still underground in this intellectual pit, looking through the films and filters of other people that they've met over the time. That's just wrong. So it's like, it's one thing to have an idea and to be spouting it, and it's another thing to claim that it's your idea or your thought and spouting it when it's not. So yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about. Independent thought, independent thinkers. I think from like an age perspective, it's hard to be an independent thinker when you're younger, because you haven't had the maturity and wisdom that comes from after the hormones start dying down or slowing down. But at the same time, it's like I said, I see people in their 50s, 60s that are still in this intellectual pit that I would expect a 16-year-old to be in. So I'm not going to say like it's time related, but at the same time, it's much harder to be wise and be an independent thinker when you're younger. Yeah, I've thought about this for quite some time, but I'm glad I finally made a video about it. So let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna end it here. This is like my 3rd take, because I just could not word things the way I wanted to word them. I think I did much better this try. 3rd time's the charm, they say, on episode 3. So yeah, YouTube. We'll see you later.